Good evening and a very warm welcome to you for the 25th time in a row at the momentous occasion of the Silver Jubilee of the AMA week, the seed of which, friends, was sown in the early 90s, when we were not even fortunate to have, Swamiji, these premises. Today, friends, when I think of the Silver Jubilee and the 25 weeks, time flies in flash across my memory. Nostalgia comes up, and to speak about the very first, I call him the Master Blaster, the Sachin Tendulkar of AMA Weeks. Please welcome with a thunderous round of applause, Pujya Swami Brahmvihari. He is opening, he has opened many times, but at any position, as they say, a perfect cricketer at any position, he can do it marvelous. When it comes to Swami Brahmvihari ji, friends, my memory stretches back the year 2002. And as I was mentioning to him, that is when AMA was fortunate and we discovered each other. He was asking me, how did that happen? And I said, maybe that was destiny. And he has never looked back since then. It is history. Friends, when I think of it, and those of you, so many familiar faces in this hall, in this auditorium, and Swamiji across nooks and corners of AMA, in our air-conditioned halls, and since last year we are even fortunate to have the open-air facility of the Adani Pavilion, where the only thing at AMA is not a soul ever goes back without getting the prasad from the speakers, the most eminent spiritual and distinguished luminaries and saints who come and talk here. The 25th AMA week, friends, as I was mentioning, Swamiji, he's spoken on attitude, relationships, leadership, imagination, excellence, prayer, and last year, time. And this time, when we were weaving the theme around this beautiful subject of dreams, because as has been so beautifully said, if you can dream it, you can do it. I think the seed of any big achievement, the seed of any monument, you take it, it all lies in a dream. No wonder it has also been said by none else but the First Lady of United States then, Eleanor Roosevelt, wife of the great President Roosevelt, when she said, the future belongs to them who believe in the beauty of their dreams. For us at AMA, this premises where you are sitting is a dream come true. It is exactly 20 years ago. It was in August, 31st of August 1997, when a dream that we had cherished that Ahmedabad should be rightfully acknowledged as the management capital of India. And we have never looked back since then, friends. You know, AMA has been fortunate, Swamiji, year after year. And we've celebrated even beyond Silver Jubilee of receiving awards as the most outstanding and the best management association all over the country. So it is AMAs, and I think it's singularly because of the blessings and good wishes. We thought, let's talk about dreams. As I'm sure Swamiji would very fondly recall, and when we think of Pramukh Swami Maharaj, we also think of one of his closest, if I have to use even the colloquial term, buddies, because they were buddies, President Kalam. President Abdul Kalam, who said, and I hardly need to say, think any one and every one of you in this audience would be able to narrate that lovely quote of Kalam. That dream is not something that you see when you are asleep. It is something which does not let you sleep. So friends, it is those dreams which are pursued with passion. Because a dream without a passion would be nothing. And I always like to quote this most favorite couplet of mine, of the great Urdu शायर who said, मंजिलें उन्हीं को मिलती है जिनके सपनों में जान होती है. मंजिलें उन्हीं को मिलती है जिनके सपनों में जान होती है. सिर्फ पंख से कुछ नहीं होता, हौसलों से उड़ान होती है. Friends, that is what dreams have to be nurtured and nourished. And we felt if we could pick up 5 dimensions of how to live the life of your dreams, the 25th AMA week brings that across to you this time. And to start with today is going to be this beautiful subject. As I said, you know, every time I talk to revered Swamiji and I say, Swamiji, what shall you like to pick up this time? And he picks up something and raises the bar of excellence higher and higher every time. This time, he said, Vishwa, let me talk about love. And so we said, start with this beautiful subject of experience the magic of love. Friends, that is all within his domain. But what dreams can achieve and what love can do, I think when it comes to the BAPS, the Swaminarayan Sanstha, which has been for so many years nurtured by great saints, including Pujya Swami, Pramukh Swamiji Maharaj, is, if I have to mention one thing, what comes up my mind is Akshardham. Because that itself is a living monument of dreams. And Swamiji, when I was talking to him, he said, it is a happy coincidence that just as we are having the silver jubilee of the AMA week, he said, Akshardham is also celebrating its silver jubilee this year. It all started with Akshardham, Gandhinagar, Akshardham, Delhi. But then, friends, in 2020, what is coming up, if I am not letting out a secret, in 2020, quote, Brahmvihari Swamiji, he said that he just returned from the US and he made a statement there in the US gathering that in 2020, the world's largest Hindu temple will be outside India and in Robbinsville, USA. Because this Akshardham USA is coming up in 270 acres. Just imagine. And when he says 2020, it has to be. It cannot be a day later. See, that is the precision and the perfection with which dreams are pursued by him. Friends, when it comes to experiencing the magic of love, I only want to say one thing from my side before we request him and invite him to come and speak to you. Firstly, this 25 years is bringing us a landmark also of, by the time we complete the last lecture this time, and that will be Swami Adhyatmananji. I would also like to welcome him. We have our first speaker and the last speaker both here, and again, both of them from our own Ahmedabad. It will be 150 lectures in the AMA series, friends. And all of that is very proudly documented by us here. Swamiji, on behalf of AMA, while I welcome you, my personal feeling of the magic of love, which I would like to very humbly dedicate across to you as a thought, is 3 letters, F-L-Y, fly. Right? Who does not want to fly? In whatever sphere of life he is. But then this F-L-Y stands for a beautiful message. First, love yourself. First, love yourself. It has been beautifully said that if you don't love yourself, how do you expect anyone else to be loving you? It all starts from your own self, friends. Caring for your own mind, body and spirit. And if we remember, that's what is my small little humble thought for you, Swamiji, to kick off your great, and time is no constraint because we stretch the time until 8 o'clock, whatever you wish to take, feel free, because in fact I always keep on telling him when he speaks, time stands still. He hypnotizes, mesmerizes, and therefore I said magic. Experience the magic of love. And friends, let him first experience the love. This bunch of flowers comes not only from AMA, but from nearly 2,500 souls which are here in AMA this evening. May I request you to please rise and give a standing welcome to revered Swami Brahmvihari.
पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। श्री स्वामीनारायण भगवाननी जय। अक्षर पुरुषोत्तम महाराजनी जय। Radha Krishna Devani Jai. सियावर रामचंद्र भगवाननी जय. उमापति महादेवनी जय. गुरु हरि प्रमुख स्वामी महाराजनी जय. गुरु हरि महन स्वामी महाराजनी जय. प्रमुख स्वामी महाराज शताब्दी महोत्सवनी जय. In the divine presence of Bhagavan Swaminarayan, in the equally divine presence of my Guru Hari Pramukh Swami Maharaj, Guru Hari Mahan Swami Maharaj, in the revered and most precious presence of Swami Adhyatmanandji, saints, and so many dignitaries who are present here, some of them whom I regard as very close friends, like Mukesh Bhai, Ajay Bhai, Suresh Bhai, the Vice Chancellor Himanshu Bhai, Ravichandranji, Harshad Bhai, people who have come, I know today, not just from Ahmedabad, but from Mumbai, from Junagadh, from Anand, and we have Vinitji from Bangalore. But as I stand before you, this morning I had asked, after my morning puja, a question to myself. Why is it that we keep coming to AMA again and again and again? Is it because AMA has been regarded as one of the finest management associations in the whole of India for more than 20 times? Is it because of that? Is it because of the wonderful facilities that you have here, which Mukesh Bhai explained so nicely? Is it because of the organizers who have taken out the time and trouble to organize such events on a regular basis? Is it because of everything that we see and we keep coming? Then I tried to answer it very profusely and profoundly. And the answer is very simple. I know today as I was passing that there are more than 10 halls and people are out there listening patiently. Some of you have come here at almost 4:30. I understand that, we are not professional orators, and I understand the time and trouble that you have taken being so early. I can feel the patience. I can feel everything, but the most important thing I always feel in AMA is written all over your faces. I can see it in your eyes, and I can feel it in my heart, is your pure love. It's not the speakers, but you listeners that make the AMA special. It's so thick, you can literally slice it in this environment. So there cannot be a more appropriate topic this evening in fulfilling your dreams than experiencing the magic of love. You know something? Love, long before we ever learned to speak the word love or to write it, we knew how to understand it when we were little babies. And long after we stop hearing, we are old and ailing, we'll still respond to the word love because it's a matter of the heart. Funnily, it is perhaps the word that is most used, often abused. It's the most sought after, fought for. It is a word that we constantly think that we need and we demand. But sorrily enough, it is something or an expression that we understand the least. And we have to accept it, that we keep saying the word love, but we really can't understand what it really means. It's not an SMS, it's not a card, it's not a bunch of flowers. It's so many more things that we can't answer. I want to ask you a question. Why do little babies feel safe in the weak arms of their mother? And they start crying in the strong arms of a stranger. I want to ask you, why on a cold winter night, suddenly we feel warm when we remember someone that we love? Why? I also want to ask you that why we suddenly get butterflies in our stomach and goosebumps on our skin. We also should ask ourselves why sometimes we are so passionate about silly things we like and absolute impassionate about the important things we dislike. And perhaps the greatest lock or the greatest secrets of God can also be revealed by this small expression of love. Because all scriptures have said, "Blessed are the pure in the heart, for they shall see me." The secrets of the universe can be opened, and the secrets of your own soul and the souls of others can be opened by this key understanding of love. We all say we understand it. But I also want to emphasize one thing to you here, that I'm not here to explain about love, because who am I? It's a feeling that God put into our hearts. So the best explanation about love can be given by God and nobody else. Or the person who experiences that deep divine love and the bondage between him and the universal entity. Yes, you'll meet so many people on the streets who'll come with the secrets of love. A book of 10 important points. Or simple secrets that will unlock the doors of somebody that you love. You'll find people. But I also want to tell you here that beware. There cannot be a more appropriate example in these times, even now, than to give you this simple example of once. There was a very modern man, a high-tech guy, fully dressed, equipped and educated. He goes and visits one farmer who was dressed very poorly, who was trying to just handle his own farm. The man goes to that farmer and he actually starts talking. The farmer is wondering why this man is here, and suddenly the man comes up to him, flips open his smartphone. He said, "Hey, excuse me, are you the farmer of this farm?" He said, "Yes, I am." He said, "Will you give me that calf? If I can tell you exactly how many cows and bulls and calves you have on this farm." The farmer was a little puzzled, surprised to see a man from the urban coming down and telling him. And the farmer said, "Okay, I'll give you the calf. So tell me." Suddenly, the high-tech modern guy, he flipped open his smartphone, he punched few numbers, the numbers went to his head office, the head office transmitted everything to Germany, the German people, they hooked up to a satellite, the satellite which was passing over this farm, suddenly took photographs, everything was mapped, and then all came down. And then that man, within less than 4 minutes, says, "Well, your farm is almost 525 acres. You have 449 cattle on it. Of that, 49 are calves, 320 are cows, and 80 are bulls." The farmer started looking. He said, "Okay, now give me the calf." Then the farmer said, "Will you give me my calf back if I can exactly tell you who you are?" He said, "Yeah, okay, tell me who I am." He said, "You are the local representative of the national political party." He said, "How did you know?" He said, "First of all, I never invited you and you still came. You asked me the questions I didn't have. You answered the answers which I already knew. And you know nothing about my life or of cattle because it's a dog I gave you. Give me my dog back." Most of the times, politicians raise fears we don't have. They create questions we never had. And they give you the answers which you already knew. And still we fall for it. Experts on love can talk about everything that you already know. So I am not here as an expert. And that's why I am not here to explain anything. Look at the title. The Magic of Love. Magic itself tells us it's inexplicable. It's something beyond that you and me really can't understand. It's something that it beggars explanation. It would be so easy for me to stand before you and start giving you quotes after quotes. Let me do it. I can take a leaf after the scientific world and tell you that Einstein said, this is all true, yeah? That Einstein said that love is the best teacher. Not mathematics, numbers and formulae. He said love is the best teacher. You had the greatest mathematician, Pascal, and he says love makes us feel different. Then we have Oscar Wilde from the world of literature. He says, without love, life is like a sunless garden with dead flowers. Then we have Martin Luther King, the great leader. He says, the darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can. Then we have some of the greatest thinkers like Lao Tzu. He said, when we are loved, we get strength. And when we love others, we give hope. From every corner of the world, almost every thinker and every person we know, even the likes of Tolstoy, who has cast a spell on a whole generation, Tolstoy said that I understand only because I love. We only learn from the people whom we love. Remember, the rest is information. I can give you an account of Mahatma Gandhi saying that he memorized the Gita while brushing his teeth. That's information. If you love him, then that would be practical virtue. We only learn from the people we love, so love has always been the most important part of life. But then we have Kabir. Kabir has said, Dhai akshar prem ka, padhe so pandit hoy. You might have mastered all the knowledges of the world, you might be so big an expert, but if you don't have this ability to love, I find so many couples who always search for an educated partner. Don't get me wrong if you have both are highly educated. But then you have all the more reasons of arguing. What if two surgeons got married? There would be an operation every night. Every morning would be healing. So I am trying to tell you that, again, getting married is not a problem, even the intelligent people. I am trying to say, unless you have mastered the technique of love, everything that we do becomes a non-entity. And, of course, we have the greatest examples of Tulsidas, Surdas, Meera, Narsi, talking about love. But once again, I want to emphasize one fact. I am not here to tell you about what other people said about love. That would be like a fact file without a feeling. What good is a seminar on water in the middle of the Sahara Desert? You'll be fully informed, but not formed at all. But let me take a leaf out of a person who knew nothing about love. You'll be shocked and surprised as I was turning the pages of history. I want to talk about a person who was perhaps hated the most by humanity, and who perhaps hated humanity the most. All the others I talked about had love as a center point in their life. Can anybody guess who I'm going to talk about? Wow, give yourself a big hand, everybody. So obviously you know what I'm going to talk about, right? Say yes or no. All right, then let me begin. A person whom humanity hated the most, and a person who almost hated the whole of humanity the most. His tale actually revolves around a tale of two Jewish women. A tale of not two Jewish women, but a tale of two Jews. And you'll tell me how. Hitler's friend, he has written and said that when Hitler was an 18-year-old young boy, he actually fell in love with a Jewish girl. Her name was Stephanie Isaac. Hitler thought that she was of Jewish origin. Whether she was or not is another matter. The name was Jewish. He has written that he followed her, he stalked her, he would wait for her. And she had this amazing ability to ignore him. Once a little flower inadvertently fell into Hitler's hand, and his friend Kubizek has written that I have never ever seen Hitler so happy ever in his life as he was when he picked up that flower. And it is also said that one of the reasons of Hitler, historians are debating, one of the reasons of Hitler suddenly developing a hatred for the entire race is because this girl never responded to him. A failed love. And Hitler, as he became bigger, he also put an ad on her name. If he could find her after she had gone to some other place in Germany. So Hitler was actually pining for her, but he could not actually get her. And Hitler, who actually killed 6 million Jews, trying to wipe out the entire race, and many more, actually he has written in his book Mein Kampf that you must crush a Jew like a cockroach. He treated them like pests. He hated them. He humiliated them. But there was only one Jew that Hitler personally saved. Dr. Edward Bloch. Why? Because Dr. Edward Bloch was a Jew, but he treated the woman he loved most, his mother. And in 1940, Hitler personally oversaw that Dr. Bloch was given safe passage from Austria to America under the supervision of Hitler. A man who is said to have hated all Jews, but love can melt the hardest heart. The magic and power of love can actually change the mindset even of the hardest people around you. We tend to think that what would happen and where would it go? But we must understand that the most important thing a person can do or see in his or her life is something that he has to portray to other people. And I also want to say that if you want to really experience or really feel what love is, let's be honest. Let's leave Hitler aside for the moment and let's get back into this hole. We are all seated. Majority of you are married. We have friends. There might be a few odd ones out like me, Adhyatmanand Swami. But I want to tell you, despite the fact of our loyalty, if you go out for 5 minutes of this hole and when you get back in, there's a small note, handwritten note on your chair, and the note says, I love you. What would happen? Be honest. Suddenly, first you wonder, ke koi bijani nathi na? Then you start saying, it has to be me. As Mukesh Bhai just said, ke love yourself first. So you start thinking, but suddenly you go out and there are, like he said, there are 2,500 people all around this entire campus at this moment. But suddenly you come back and you find 2,500 notes saying, I love you. And then you know what happens? Everything becomes gold. Huh? Nothing is a problem. There's no roof on this hole. You can see the stars inside this ceiling. Nothing has happened to you. Suddenly your feelings have exploded. See the magic of love. Just the feeling that you are loved by somebody. You don't even know who it is, Ajuto. You don't even know. It might be a computer-generated message. You don't even know who it is, but who cares? Just this feeling of being loved changes your entire world view. And that's what I want to emphasize, that it has the power. But again, the feeling of lack of love also makes us angry, frustrated, stressed, and regularly depressed. You know, when somebody feels not loved by their own family or friends, when somebody feels ignored by the people he loves or she loves, when somebody feels actually jilted by God, when you see God has abandoned me or forsaken me, you know what happens? An entire metamorphosis of his mind and character starts beginning. You might be surprised, but I'm giving you extreme examples to jolt our consciousness. You know what happens, how hungry people are for love? I've just read that in 2010, a man from South Korea, his name is Lee Jin-gai, he officially got married to a pillow. Karta nahi tame pachu ato. Don't say that Brahmvihari Swami has given us the permission. No. But I'm trying to say is how hungry he must have been to find something or someone that he can call his own. In 2008, a lady, and she was a soldier in the US Army, and she was in so much love with the Eiffel Tower, she officially got married and called herself Mrs. Eiffel. Koikne Mrs. Motera banu hoy. Or I'm just trying to say anything. But yes, you can. This is what's happened. This is how it's gone. It's all official. That's what I'm going to tell you. In 1979, Aisha, there's a lady called Aisha. She used to visit Germany so often. She officially got married and called herself Aisha Berlin. But after the Berlin Wall was broken down, she felt divorced. No, you might be laughing. This is all there. She became so possessed by the Berlin Wall that once it was broken down, she felt divorced, that now there's nobody in my life now. The Berlin Wall was so close. There are people who got married to roller coasters. There are people who get married to cats, dogs, and so many things that we might find weird, but they're not weird. Just as love can weave a magic around you, the lack of love can create disaster and doom around you. And that's the most important part of love, is that if you take away love, it is said that the whole world would become a graveyard. Ask yourself, you take away love from a home, it becomes a guest house, which you only come during the night. You take away love from your family, it becomes a club where we only come down for dinner in the evening. You take away love from your mother and father, they become partners. You take away love from your grandfather and grandmother, they become caretakers. You take away love from your brother and sisters, you become colleagues who've grown together. You take away love from your friend, you become co-workers. You take away love from a sadhu, and he becomes just a counselor. And you take away love from God, he becomes a figment of imagination. Love has the power to give life to life. You're no longer a name, you're no longer a person, you are somebody special that gives energy to you. So that's what I'm trying to say, that impossible things become possible. That's the magic of love. And I am not here, again, to give explanations. That you already know. God has given and implanted the seed of love in every heart. Every heart. But impossible things become possible. Let me give you examples from the lives and real lives of people. They're not logical, because love is not logical or rational. It is perhaps the most irrational thing. One day somebody does something to you and you love him or her. If he repeats the same thing again, you just abhor him or her. પેલો કે ગયા વખતે તો આવું કીધું કે ભાઈ ગયા વખતની વાત નથી, આ જુદું છે એમ. See, we keep changing, it's this mutation. So love is irrational, love is magical, and love is mystical, but it dominates our rational, logical, and absolute real life. And how? Think of these things which are absolutely impossible, that they have the power. You know, sometimes we argue that our relationships are dead. We have this issue. We think with him or her, I can never develop a relationship. It's dead. We've had such a big fight and we think everything has gone into a coma. It's not possible to wake up. Okay? Let me tell you an example from Chicago. One young boy, his name Ryan Schroeder, he went into a snowmobile while he was studying and he crashed. Because of that difficult accident, he was taken to a hospital, he went into a coma. The doctors tried everything, all the medicine, everything available under the sun to revive a patient, and after months of treatment, they called the family and said, there is no more medicine, there is no more treatment for this boy, he'll never come out of coma, he'll only die. The family said, what can we do? He said, is there anyone who loves him deeply, or is there anyone he loves deeply? He said, yeah, go let them spend a few days with him, and that's it, finally it's over. There was no possibility of reviving that little boy. His mother came and she just started talking to the boy, her son in the coma, which she was sure he could not listen. The doctors were clear that nothing is happening. Okay? When everything was beyond repair, it is said that in 3 weeks' time, the boy opened his eyes. No medicine, simple, pure love of a mother. And the height of this experiment or truth is that the boy recovered 100% and started skiing again. Don't think love is a cushion or a comfort or a simple balm or a paste to repair things. Love has the power to revive, if relatives, it has the power to revive dead relationships. Don't feel disheartened. It has the power and the magic to bring life to almost anything that has gone beyond repair. But you'll tell me, Swami, our problem is not these dead relationships, because I want to make it really practical. You might say, Swami, my immediate problem is my daughter and my son. Yeah? I think everybody is smiling. So we've hit a chord. So you'll tell me, Swami, my immediate problem is my daughter and son. Why? They never come home on time. Sometimes they go away, and sometimes they don't report to me almost 2 days. And the real worry is, we all send our daughters and our sons to foreign countries, but the fear of the parent is that will they or will they not lose love for me? They all come to us and say, Swami, and about Paschimin Vairo na lage, but more bigger problem is that they don't really forget us. You know, Mukesh Pai has said, love yourself first. I'm going to go beyond that, don't worry, but still. So, we are all interested in us being loved and loving ourselves, but let's go a little beyond. So, you think it's because you're a parent they're going to come to you? You think because you have great facilities? I have seen children of wealthy families give up their mom and dad and wealth just so they can find their own space. Nobody's really interested in wealth. They're interested in finding space. So you think, Swami, how do I create an environment where my children, even if they are far off, there's distance, there's space, there's geography, there's change of culture, still they keep coming back to me. How? Well, let me give you an example which is almost magical. These are not common examples. Once, this is in the year 2011, Joe Pereira de Souza, a Brazilian, he was walking on a beach. And he was a construction worker. He was not a knowledgeable guy. While he was walking on a beach near Rio de Janeiro, that's when he found a small, wounded baby penguin which was washed onto the shore. He didn't have love for animals, let alone penguins. He himself was, hard struck in his own home, then take a pet home. No. But his heart was moved by this isolated, unhelped, dying little baby penguin. He picked it up. He nursed it, took it home. And for the penguin to become better, it took almost 11 months of nursing and care that this man felt. After nursing the penguin and the little baby penguin became fine, the only thing that he could do was to put the penguin back into the sea. Wait and listen. He came and put the penguin back with tearful eyes, knowing this is your life and this is me. The penguin, wherever he had gone, nobody knew. A year later, 2012, on the same beach, that little penguin arrived again. And the man never noticed it because he was a construction worker. Animals and penguins did not form the equation of his life. And he was uninterested because he had a headache, 11 months of headache by taking care of one penguin. He saw another. He just left it. To his shock and surprise, that penguin followed him home. That penguin followed him home. And since that day onwards, every year, for 8 months, this penguin comes to his home for 8 months. 4 months, it swims all the way to Argentina, 5,000 miles, for breeding. And then 8 months, it comes back to him, all because he loved him once, that the penguin comes to him on his own accord. Love your children wherever they are. If penguins can come back, your children will never desert you. Love them. Love has to be shared and given once. Even if it's genuine, it's from your heart and it's thorough, it will weave its magic for life. So don't tell me that old relations cannot be revived. They can. Don't tell me that people who have distance within you and them, they can be bridged if your love is genuine. But then somebody will tell me that, Swami, I have been trying, but forget about somebody else. But if it's all my own husband or my own wife, that's an everyday problem. We can't tell, we can't advertise. નહીં ઘણીવાર આપણે એક સીટમાં 2 જણ બેસવા જઈએ ને પછી આમ તો આપણે વિવેક કર્યો પછી હલવાઈએ. In a car, if it's only space for 3 people, you say, come on, 2 જણા બીજા માઈ જશે. પછી પેલો કે 2 કલાકની જર્ની પછી દુઃખ થાય કે સાલું આમ. So I'm trying to tell you very simply that you might tell me that, Swami, some people are gone cases, impossible. One lady, she had a deep hurt in her heart, and the doctor said, look, your medical problems are because you are holding a vengeance against somebody. She said, yes, I know. He said, against whom? My husband. And they said, but you're a widow. He said, yeah, he's died a long time ago. He said, but then why are you holding this vengeance? He said, but it's the experience I've had with him, so I'm holding a vengeance. He said, if you give up this vengeance, your disease will be cured. She said, no, I'm a very religious person. I keep everything close to my heart. The doctor said, what if God came down on this earth and told you, you give up the vengeance? He said, I would tell God that you've never been married to my husband. I am here to tell you, sometimes we feel some people and some relationships are gone cases. But let me bring out another leaf from the magical world. It's a true experiment. I have personally seen this stuff. There's a botanist whose name is Luther Burbank. He had this amazing love for cactus. When you go into his studio and home, he would find different breeds, different species of cacti all over the place. But then once he started thinking, why do cactus or cacti, they have thorns? So he thought, because he was the botanist, he said, of course, they're living and growing at a very low land. Any animal, any creature could come and eat. And because they need to preserve themselves, there's nothing else. So in a desert-like environment, if anything comes, the thorns would be a safety procedure for their own security. So remember, when somebody's swabhavs become hardened, it is like a safety valve. Okay? You may be the cause, but still. So he started thinking, he said, now in my little room, observatory, the cactus doesn't need to fear anything or anyone. So of all the species, hundreds of species in his own laboratory, he picked one. He started stroking it gently between the thorns and talking to it. He said, they don't need to fear. You are secured. You are in my hands. I love you. This is simply talking to the cactus and expressing love and gently feeling it in a different way. To his shock and surprise, a new leaf grew from that cactus only, and that leaf did not have any thorns at all. If a cactus can give up thorns, so can other people. You don't tell me, Swami, you are not married to my wife or my husband. God put you together. There must be a reason. Accept it and go ahead. But the responsibility and the onus depends on us of how we actually mold, express, how we actually envelop somebody in the love that we have. But then you can also tell me that, Swamiji, sometimes it's the past that keeps coming back. Love has the power not just to dethorn, but even to erase the past memories. In 2016, this is perhaps the first time I am expressing this in public. In 2016, after Pramukh Swami Maharaj passed away, and we were in the process of doing tribute assemblies all over the world, I happened to travel to Johannesburg, South Africa. And there on the stage, the person sitting next to me was Isu Chiba, a stalwart of the ANC party, a person who had been jailed with Nelson Mandela. We all hear the stories, of course, they are great stories and real stuff, of Nelson Mandela being patient and being jailed for 27 years and not holding a single hurt in his heart. But Isu Chiba, he was next to me, and when I was explaining to the people that, even Pramukh Swami Maharaj, even after Akshardham was attacked, he took the higher moral ground of still preaching peace, no revenge, forgiving everything, moving ahead, not sticking blame, and taking the path of peace. To give up difficulties, revenge, and also vengeance, that's the most important path for a human being. Why are we humans? It's not like a dog fight dog. So when I was talking about that, and when I sat back, Isu Chiba came to me and said, Swamiji, today I feel unburdened. I said, why? He said, now I want to tell you, listen to this story. He said, I was also in jail with Nelson Mandela, and I was in jail for 17 years. On Robben Island, 17 years. And as he started speaking, his lips started vibrating, trembling, his eyes filled up red with hatred. He was so, horrified. They had been freed in 1990s. This was 2017. Look at the memories, the past that keep eating us. And he said, Swamiji, the biggest difficulty or the biggest humiliation I've ever suffered is when the white supremacists, they treated us like dumb animals. You can hurt somebody, you can humiliate somebody, you can make fun, you can help make them fail, you can actually beat them up, but to treat them like animals and dehumanize somebody is the worst crime anybody could do. I said, what was the problem? I didn't want to touch his sore nerve. He said, no, I feel relieved, so I want to just open up. I said, yes. Isu Chiba said that I had freshly got married in Navsari. He is an Indian of Indian descent, a South African living for generations. He said, I was a part of the freedom movement in ANC. And when I had got married, I had taken my wife from Navsari to Africa. The only language she knew was Gujarati. But then I was jailed. And in the jail, whenever somebody came to meet, there was this code that you could either speak in English or Afrikaans. The moment you used any other mode of communication or language, my sentence would be doubled. Vicharo, he told me, here I am, every other day my wife would come before me. Because she couldn't speak any other language, she would stand like a dumb animal. She would see me wither. She didn't understand English, so I would remain quiet. I saw her grow older, 17 years. Every other day we saw each other and stood like dumb animals. I can never forget the hatred that grew in my heart. So when I started hating everybody, Nelson Mandela found out. And Nelson Mandela called me, he said, Isu, in the jail, they are actually being, dehumanized by the supremacist apartheid regime. And Mandela called me into his cell. He said, Isu, why are we here? And he said, for freedom. He said, do you think freedom can be attained through force and compulsion or hatred? He said, no, but Mr. Mandela, I have decided the moment I get out of this cell, if I do, I'll hunt down every white man who has conspired against me and I will kill him. A stage upar mane haju kehta tha. He was telling me this on the stage and I was really yes, I had decided to kill every white man who had conspired against us and kill them. And that's when Mandela said to me, he said, hate will never make you into a winner. He said, let's resolve today that the moment we are free from this jail, if ever we are, the first thing we will do is to go to the wives of every white man who has conspired against us, have tea with them, and assure them that nothing will happen to your husband. He said, growth does not come in the ocean of vengeance, it comes over a cup of love. Anything that you want to grow, it's not going to come because of your laws, it's not going to come because of your position, it's not going to come because of your wealth, it's just simply love, love, and love. He expressed that, so I also want to tell you that yes, you can overcome the past. But if somebody tells me that, Swamiji, what if you are rejected from the person whom you love? And you are dejected again and again. And the whole society is conspiring against you. There's not a friend you have in society now. I want to really talk about magic now. When the person you love, they reject you. You feel dejected. Forget about reviving some relative, old love. Forget about bringing the love back of your children. Forget about transforming the people that you love. Forget about all these things. But when you are rejected and dejected throughout, let me take a leaf out of the Mahabharata. You know, when the Pandavas, they were learning under, and the Kauravas were learning under the tutelage of Dronacharya. As the true story of the Mahabharata goes, listen to this very carefully and teach your children this. That all the Pandavas and Kauravas were together, and in evening time, after the lessons of archery are completed, Dronacharya would go into a river for the Sandhya Puja. So as Dronacharya would enter, he would first disarm himself, put all the bows and arrows out. There was a law that when the teacher disarmed himself, the pupils have to lay down their arms. No pupil could carry arms when the teacher, the guru, has laid down his arms. So all the children, all the pupils had laid down their arms. And with his eyes closed, Dronacharya was performing the Sandhya Puja. And with the corner of his eyes, suddenly, Arjun saw 3 alligators approaching in the river to Dronacharya. Now he was in a confusion whether he could pick up the arms or whether he could not. But before he could blink an eye, it is said in the Mahabharata, before he could blink an eye, Arjun picked up 3 arrows and fired them in such a furious way that it pierced all 3 alligators and Dronacharya was saved. Dronacharya, waking up from his prayers, suddenly called Arjun and said, okay, you are the greatest archer on this earth today. Until the earth stands, nobody will be able to surpass you. Hey Arjun, you are the greatest archer. Everybody is happy. Nothing else is discussed. And the children go further into the forest for just fun and frolic. Dronacharya goes back. As they go into the forest deeper and deeper, they used to have this system of keeping a dog. The dog would go out in front and find a prey, and they would go and they could hunt because they were actually practicing. This was their practice time. As they went in and in and in, suddenly, after some time, the dog reverted. The barking dog had stopped barking, and the dog reverted with almost 10 arrows in its mouth. You all know the story, but wait. 10 arrows in the mouth of the dog, and Arjun was shocked that all the arrows had been placed in such a way that the dog was not bleeding at all. That would be the best doctor, he can give you an injection without a pinch. So everybody's amazed. How come our dog, which was a masterful hunting dog, come out back with all 10 arrows in its mouth without a slight drop of blood? God, who did this? While all the other Pandavas went back and the Kauravas went back, Arjun, he had just been called the greatest archer of the world. And he said, God, I don't think I can do that. He goes deeper and deeper inside the forest in a reclused area. He sees a young Adivasi boy, a tribal boy, Eklavya. And he sees this little boy dressed in, vegetables, flowers, and his clothing are all simple raw stuff. And before Arjun could blink his eye, Eklavya fires, in the Mahabharata it is written, Eklavya fires 10 arrows. Arjun could do 3, he fires 10. In all 10 directions. Before he could open his eyes again, all these 10 arrows have returned with something special. Someone with flowers, some fruit, some a fish from the river, some other things, some special fragrant, systems. Everything is there before a small idol of Dronacharya, which was made of clay. Arjun is shocked. So he runs back to Dronacharya and he starts crying. He says, you're a liar. Gurus can't lie, you're a liar. And Dronacharya says, what's the problem? He says, you called me the greatest archer in the world, but I have somebody. I just saw somebody in witness who is far more powerful than me. So why do you lie to me? And you have taught him more because I saw your idol. The rest of the story is history. I don't want to go into it, but I want to tell you one thing. What gave the Vidya to Eklavya? It wasn't Dronacharya, it was Eklavya's love for Dronacharya. You think you need to be present before the same person to learn and imbibe his virtues and values? Your love has the capability of remote transfer. The person you love may be at the end of this world, but if you love him or her genuinely, his values and virtues will be transferred to you. This is the magnetism and magic of love. The person may not have to be on this earth with you. Come on. Love has the power to actually bring out the values of somebody from the past. If you love Mahatma Gandhi genuinely, we know people who follow his creed and faith even now. If you love Sardar Patel, if you love Narsi Mehta, if you love Bhagwan Swaminarayan, if you love Krishna, we see day in and day out, all the bhaktas, they receive inspiration. That is why Krishna has said, Mad Bhaktya. He says, because of my devotion towards me, Abhijananti, only then you will know me. So the magic of love is not just within your walls and your home and your family. It applies to the entire expanse of not just humanity, to the worlds, the other worlds, and to the world of gods. Love has the power not just to revive, not just to regenerate, not just to reform, not just to revisit. Love has the power to remake yourself if you know how to love. Ultimately, you will then ask me, the Swamiji, but why doesn't he work with me? Why doesn't this magic happen with me? Well, the answer is very simple. Of course, Mukesh Pai, I totally agree with him. I'm not here to say he's not wrong. He's right. Yes, we must love ourselves first, but then we have to go to the second step. We should also love others. In this world of ours, everybody has learned the mastery of loving themselves. And I know what Mukesh Pai was saying. He is saying that when you love yourself, you become better. I agreed with that. But if your love just does not stretch beyond your existence, that's why it does not produce the magic that it can. You know, many times in our older times, we were trying to, get the right station on the radio. When we are tuning it, we'll hear a crackle, and suddenly the sound will sound really nice and clear. As long as the radio is slightly out of tune, only thing that you'll experience would be crackle. Sometimes on a winter's morning, you get mist over your glass. Nothing's wrong with the glass. It's just a thin film of mist. As long as it's misty, your image would not be clear. Even in a TV, the older versions I'm saying, that you had to get the channel right. Before that, you will just get snow, or you get a blur image. A slight readjustment of that focus will give you the real image. The problem with our love is, nothing is wrong. We have the capacity of loving, and we do know we have it. But most of our love is selfish. Many times, we pretend to the world we are taking pictures, but most of the time we are taking selfies. Most of the time we say, oh, I'm really happy to see you, but actually, I'm happy to see you because you are happy to see me. Then I'm not happy to see you. Go back home and think about it. Most of the time, we fool the world by telling them that we are taking their pictures, but we are always on a selfie mode. Why? Our scriptures have told us, Navare, patyu kamaya patipriyo bhavati, atmanastu kamaya patipriyo bhavati. The wife says that I love my husband. It is not really that you love your husband, but because you love yourself so much and your husband loves you, that's why you love your husband. When we say, Navare, jayaya kamaya jaya priya bhavanti, atmanastu kamaya jaya priya bhavanti. When we say we love our wives, it's because apne anukud che, that's why we love our wives, not because na hoy to. Navare putraya putraha kamaya putraha priya bhavanti, atmanastu kamaya putraha priya bhavanti. We say we love our children, but because we love ourselves the most, and the children fall in line, that's why we love them, not because the children are children. I am here to explain and tell each one of us that most important part is being selfless. After this almost an hour of lecture, as we have been hearing, that selflessness, unselfish love, gives you the power of magic. Let me give you a small example and be very honest. I just want to tell you something and experiment with all of us. And don't lie. We all value love, correct? Yes or no? Yes. And we also know what it means, being loved and giving love, how the environment changes. That's correct. So if I were to tell you, if Mukesh Bhai stands in front and Mukesh Bhai talks about you, Ajay Bhai bhau sara vyakti che, and he's reading out from a note and saying, Ajay Bhai bhau mehnat kari che, and Ajay Bhai, everybody knows it's not felt, but it is read. Would you like Mukesh Bhai to talk about you 1 hour reading something he doesn't feel, which is not out of love? Or would you want Mukesh Bhai just to say, oh, Ajay, avi gaya? What would you love more, bolo? 1 word with love or 1,000 words without love? Correct? 1 word with love is more important than 1,000 words without love. If you go to somebody's home and somebody has prepared chappan bhojan, 56 different items, and they come with a third and say, lekha. No, come on, I want to tell you, lekha. ઘરમાં આપણા પ્રોબ્લેમ એટલું જ હોય છે 3 કલાક તમારા વાઈફે રસોઈ બનાવી હોય પણ તમે એવો મૂડ બગાડો કે લે પજમ એવું બોલે પણ 3 કલાક મહેનત તો ગઈ હોય ને. I am trying to tell you, would you prefer that third, or would you want your mom waiting for you at 1 o'clock at night making hot milk and say, hey, I was waiting for you, here's a glass of milk? Would you love a glass of milk with love or the best sumptuous meal without love? What would you want? Clear? We are all clear. We have no confusion in this. Okay. Now I want to ask you, if somebody comes outside, is waiting for you and says, out of lot of love, and says, I've been waiting for you since 1 month. Here's, 1 rupee I had been saving for you out of love. And somebody else says, Haram khor le a crore rupiya. What would you like? Tell me honestly. Come on, tell me. તમે જે માંગશો એ મળશે? See, that's what I'm here to tell you. With all this 1 hour of explanation, we still feel love is selfish. તમે કહેશો કે Swami, I've been used to all this swearing and everything happens. Let me take the crore rupee and go away. Why? Because sitting inside us, as we know that we love and love is important and selflessness is important, we are still continually, layer by layer, possessed by this selfishness which we can't really explain. I want to tell you what selfishness can do. You all know, and I think most of us celebrate Mother's Day. And you probably also know it was founded by Anna Jarvis. When her mother, she passed away in 1905 on 9th May, she decided that, to specially have a day for all the mothers in the world, not just her mother. In America, there was a big problem between the Confederates, and the other section. So when she decided that she wanted to bring everybody together, she brought everybody, the Union Territory and the Confederates together, and all the mothers got together. They made an appeal that a special day should be left out for mothers in the world. She campaigned, went to congressmen, to office, and got them to declare this Mother's Day, which we celebrate around the world. After 9 years, she found out that the entire Mother's Day, actually her concept was love, meeting a mother, talking to her, cooking for her. The entire love idea for a mother was commercialized, and it all turned into just greetings. It all turned into flowers. And you won't imagine the lady who founded Mother's Day. From that day onwards, once she felt it was commercialized, she spent her entire life trying to cancel Mother's Day. But commercialization had taken over so fast, greed, selfishness, that today it's become an industry of $2.6 billion in America alone. The gifts and the flowers are different. This woman, Anna Jarvis, she almost became insane in trying to get rid of Mother's Day. For the last 25 years, she had to be admitted into a mental asylum, and the entire cost were paid by the flower industry. We don't want to commercialize love. We want to personalize it. We want to personalize love. Because even the love that we share, we express most of the time is commercialized. Is done just for the sake of things. But if you can personalize love, then the most important thing I want to tell you is first, yes, love yourself. But don't end there. The most important thing you can do in love is to actually remove yourself from the equation of your own life. Make your love selfless. You know, love is not a noun, it's a verb. Love is heard, but is felt in action. You can talk about water, but when you pick up a glass and give it to somebody else, that's love. You can talk about coming on time, but if you can wait 1 hour for somebody whom you love, it's love. Love is not about laws and rules, it is about breaking laws and rules. I'm being very honest. Huh? It is about breaking laws and rules and still feeling comfortable. You can only forgive a person who breaks laws if you love him or her. I am emphasizing one fact, that love is a selfless event or an emotion that is seen in action. I remember when we were in Bhuj earthquake, it was not just like a service like international organizations. Look, I appreciate all the international organizations who came and stood with us, and they are great. Without them, Bhuj would have been a bigger nightmare. But I remember one day we phoned Pramukh Swami, and particularly at 11 o'clock at night, because I was there at that time in charge of the relief operations in Bhuj. So when we phoned Pramukh Swami, about 15, 17 sadhus were there. We were so tired of serving hot meals, because in hot meals you have to bring everything, you have to bring water, then you have to cook, then to serve. And all international organizations told us in a time of a disaster, hot food is not correct because bacteria could breed and there could be a lot of diseases and everything could spread. It has to be pre-packed. So we all gathered together, brought out all our logic, and we phoned Pramukh Swami. It was about 11:30 at night. So as we reported that, Swamiji, we've reached about 409 villages, we've given so many blankets, we are doing this. It's a whole list of things. Perhaps BAPS, one of the strongest relief organizations present there. So when we phoned Pramukh Swami, and it was my duty to tell him, okay, Swamiji, we have one hot meal camp, and we are damn tired. And it's going to be very difficult. And international people are advising us that shut down hot camps. Collectors ne bada hoye and experts, they were all telling us that you can't do it. So as I was telling Swami, I remember it's about 11:45 at night, and I said, કે બાપા હવે આપણે આ ગરમ ખાના પણ બધું આપણે બંધ કરીએ. અને સ્વામી કે કેમ? મેં કીધું કે બાપા, so I started giving all these proper reasons. You know what Pramukh Swami told me? Swami said, if you go home at night and if there's a cold meal waiting for you, your hunger will be satisfied, but you will not feel loved. But if your mom gets up and makes the milk hot again, you will feel her love more than the milk itself. So instead of closing down, he listed 11 different places where we should open other hot meals camps. And I want to tell you, by the end of 1 month, we had fed almost 2 million people hot meals in Bhuj, and that gave us the hope. It is not about serving, it's not about the routine things, it's adding love to what you do. You don't need to change anything you do, just add a little bit of more life and love. And that's the reason when a person lives a life not for himself, when your children feel that you are living and making decisions not for yourself, but for them, when the leaders are looked upon and seeing they are making decisions not for themselves, but not for their parties, but for the country, when you see religious leaders standing up for their own followers and taking decisions that would help them and not just the growth of religion, that's where love is felt. In Pramukh Swami's life, why do you think on 13th August 2016, more than 2 million people came for his darshan? I was there. You look at our planning. We were expecting on the first evening, because he passed away at 6 o'clock, we were worried that maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people, 50,000 people turned up. And majority did not have Tilak Chanlo, they were not Swaminarayan. We found out that more than 2 million people came in silence. They came down to pay respect. Some people came with resolutions. There were couples who were on the verge of divorce. They pledged not to go forward with divorce. There are people who came with so many different things. There were outsiders who opened up meal camps. None of this was BAPS. I have to be honest, it wasn't BAPS. Everybody gives credit to our management. There was no management involved. It was the world that was responding to the love he has shared with everyone. Why would the Indian embassies remain open on Sunday everywhere around the world? Why? You tell me. I have no answer. We never applied. We never asked. Why so many people came down? Because I feel, and I also know, I've heard, that there were mothers with just 1 day old child coming down so they could tell their child when it grows up, saying that you had the darshan of Pramukh Swami. That's how people have come. And there were old people who were pulled through into that crowd. Nothing happened, that they knew this was their last darshan on this earth. I am trying to tell you why. The answer is simple. If you know of anyone who has visited 17,000 homes, 17,000 villages and cities, yeah, you can say some politician for his work may have. Now my second question is, Pramukh Swami went to almost 17,000 cities and villages. Not big, smallest. But the same person should also have visited 250,000 homes. Come on. Have you visited your brother's home 250,000 times? I'm trying to say the same person who has selflessly visited 17,000 villages has to have visited 250,000 homes. For what? To create peace on these homes. And the same person should have personally written 750,000 letters. You go home, I can ask randomly to anybody who are here, I can ask, Parag, how many letters Bapa has written to you? 12, okay? He's a simple young boy. You can ask anybody. There'll be people who will have 50 letters, 10 letters, 11 letters, 100 letters. There are people with 200 letters Pramukh Swami has written to them for small, small things. I want to tell you, even in this world where we find it difficult to even write a line, ready-made cards, forwarded messages, don't ever forward a message because they know it's not yours. It's not yours. And people think that you just wait for the blue tick. There are experts who just go down and click everything and the blue ticks are an illusion. All I'm trying to tell you, here is Pramukh Swami, and imagine a person who has never had a thought of hurting or hating anybody. That is love. So when you love, penguins from all over the world will come to your shores because you loved them. You don't have to tell them that you love them. So when you have a life which is selfless and which has been spent, I'm asking you, you don't have to do it for the world, at least in your own family. When you go to a place, don't search for the best room. Give it to everybody else and at least go for the worst. Swami, do it. Don't pick up the best pillow. Don't every time rush to the front seat of the car. Those are not important. The fact you have the ability to give up something that you deserve will make people fall in love with you forever. Why do we love Sardar Patel? Because we all believe that he deserved to be Prime Minister. And all the other prime ministers are forgotten. He was the only uncrowned prime minister who will never be forgotten. He gave up what the whole of India felt he deserved. That's why we still love him. Love is not just to do with me, me, me. Love is to share and go beyond yourself and to be able to love everyone else. And that's what the Mahabharata has again said. that the greatest form of love, more important than the sisterly love, the brotherly love, the motherly love, the fatherly love, the parental love, the friendly love, more important than all the loves we can classify is your love with the divine spiritual love. How does the Mahabharata define? Once, just before the Rajsuya Yagna, Yudhishthir decides, when all his friends, his cousin brothers and brothers are all there, all his elders are there, there's a crowd of people who are shouting Yudhishthir's name. Yudhishthir goes, before I start the Rajsuya Yagna, let me go to Krishna and ask him. Suddenly people stop him and say, but why Krishna? Why do you want to go to Krishna? He said, all your brothers, all your elders, all your intelligent people, all your advisors, everybody is here. Why do you have to go to Krishna? And look at the answer Yudhishthir gives. He says very simply, Kechit hi sauradat na dosham parichakshate. He begins, he said, yes, I know there are my friends inside this crowd. I know there are advisors, but because they are my friends and they love me too much, they will not even be able to tell me the truth if it hurts me. He said, because I know there are some of seniors inside here. Because they are my seniors and I respect them, but they love me, but they do not know what is good for me. So why should I ask them? Within this crowd, there are my enemies. Dushman panche. Because they are my enemies, they will mask the truth as untruth and untruth as truth and misguide me. That's why I'm not asking him. Yes, there are people who are intelligent, they can foresee the future. He said, but I'm not asking them because with intelligence, there is also the vice of selfishness. So they will always do something where they're always one better up than me. So I can't ask them. And yes, there are the pure-hearted people who love me and they are pure in the heart. But at the same time, they want me to progress. They also want themselves to progress. Sahyaro. She said, all of them are here. But I go to Krishna. Why? Because he needs nothing from me and I can give nothing to him. I go to Krishna. Why? Because he knows the truth and he will tell me the truth even if it hurts me. I go to Krishna. Why? He can see the future and he will take me to the future long before I reach the future. That's why I go to Krishna. And that's why he says that this love for God, because it's selfless, it can transform you, it can pick you up. And this selfless spiritual love has the power to connect you to the cosmic world. It's not just simple that I'm here to explain to you, but it has the power. And sometimes all these powers you see, it helps you transcend the world. The worldly love, the mundane love that we have may create bondage. Ghanano jeev pachi nikre. Sometimes love becomes so possessive that you feel suffocated. You know, there is this story of a mother. After more than 25 years, she got a child. And she loved her child so much and she smothered the child with kisses that it suffocated. Are bhai, ene breathe karano time to apo. But ultimately, the love of God does not bind you, it redeems you. Mukti ape chhe. Because that love is actually supernatural, it helps you transcend. What Kalam experienced with Pramukh Swami, one thing he said, he was one religious leader who transcended all religions. Hardly any religious leader could transcend the religion he leads. Kalam said that all other religions are beautiful islands. They're all good, beautiful. But Pramukh Swami was the bridge that could bridge every island together and create spirituality. So the love helps you transcend. The love that helps you bridge. Yah setuhu ijana naam. It is a bridge that takes you beyond this world and beyond this body. And that's what Kalam has written also in Transcendence. He has said that once he phoned Pramukh Swami Maharaj And when he found him and he wanted to bring, he's very open-hearted. Kalam said he had written a book and Khushwant Singh had written that it's the best book for burning. Kalam writes that his book was actually... So Kalam decided, I must bring Khushwant Singh to Rashtrapati Bhavan. The guy who says that Kalam's book is the best book for burning, so Kalam said, I wanted to bring Khushwant Singh. Then straight away I saw a peacock. When I saw a peacock, suddenly I remembered Sarangpur, where Pramukh Swami normally stays. So I decided if Pramukh Swami could come to Rashtrapati Bhavan. So I happened to be there with Pramukh Swami and Kalam called me. And Kalam said, Swamiji, can you tell Pramukh Swami I want him to come to Rashtrapati Bhavan? I said, I'll explain to him, Swami ke Kalam Sahib ne padramni karavi che Rashtrapati Bhavan ma. And then Kalam added, with all 700 sadhus. I said, that would be a nightmare in our secular India. Saffronization of the Rashtrapati Bhavan. So I was scared, I was like, oh God, Rashtrapati Bhavan. And I'll also explain, અમે સંતો આવીએ ને એટલે અમે પછી અમારી પત્તરની જોડી હોય એટલે રાષ્ટ્રપતિ ભવનમાં બધે પત્તર લબડતા થઈ જાય, પાગ બધી પડે. If somebody goes for a bath, એટલે કટકા સુકાય. We are everything like dhobi ghat and kitchen, everything in one, What would happen to the Rashtrapati Bhavan? I couldn't imagine. I said, God. And then I said, Bapa, સાહેબની તો ઈચ્છા છે કે 700 સંતો આપણે પત્તર લઈને જઈએ. ઈચ્છા હતી એમને જમાડવાની. Kalam. And Pramukh Swami picked up the thread. He said, સાહેબને સમજાવો, સ્વામી કે આખો દેશ ઊભો થઈ જશે. સાહેબની ભાવના તો સારી. See, love is also seen when you deny something, but your purpose is benign. It is also seen when you deny something, but your purpose is benign. So Pramukh Swami said to Kalam that, there is one way. Kalam said, how? He said, whenever you think of me, I will be in Rashtrapati Bhavan. And Kalam has written in this book, he said, I believed in what Pramukh Swami said. Whenever I thought of him, when I was walking the Mughal gardens, when I was in my room, whenever I was stuck, I felt his presence. Then he goes on, he says, when I was in a conference in Sri Lanka, and that's when I remembered Pramukh Swami, I felt him. When I was giving a lecture in the European Parliament and the whole of Parliament stood up and said, this is the best address we have ever heard, Dr. Kalam. Little did they know that Pramukh Swami was speaking through me. Kalam has written clearly that when I was in Edinburgh University and I was given the prestigious award which was earlier given to Darwin, Alexander Graham Bell, of those likes, when I was receiving the reward and I closed my eyes and I felt Pramukh Swami with me. He has taught me the secret of love, that whenever you think of someone, he is present, she is present, and you feel the values. So the love that helps you, transports you, transcend all the little things of life. And that's what we have to understand, that it makes you much more powerful than you can ever imagine. Look at Mirabai. No wonder in her love for Krishna, she could drink poison and the poison turns into nectar. એકલું ઝેર પચાવી નથી ગયા, મીરાબાઈ અમર બની ગયા. એમને તો ભક્તિ આપણે બધા કરીએ. લો ઝેરના, forget about ઝેર. I've got some, like if I have some really, I said I've got some miraculous water, પ્રસાદીનું પાન, ગંગા જળ. ચાલો, I've just come from Ganga, I've come from Mansarovar. Mansarovarનું પાણી છે. All of you come, I'll give you a drop, drink it. It's going to be very sacred. But when you come, just on the bottle is just a small tape written poison. કેટલા લેશે? બધા કે સ્વામી આવું માથે ચડાવ તો ચાલે? I tell you, this is Mansarovar, but we believe the word so much. And let's say the other way around, I said, આ ઝેર છે. Okay, એના ટોપ ઉપર લખેલું હોય Mansarovar. It doesn't work the other way. We are so accustomed to thinking and believing in the negatives that the positives don't have any play or room in our hearts. The magic of love is when, through the love of God, you turn it into positives. What did Narsi Mehta have? None of the riches and none of the success that we say, still he lived like an emperor. Mari hundi. I am trying to tell you the love for God makes you bigger than what you are. It makes you brighter. It takes you beyond this world and into a world that you have never ever contemplated. So as I conclude, I would like to emphasize one very important thing. Love, sometimes it's not doing the great things in life, but doing the small things with great love. I'm not asking you to open the roof for your children, but do the simplest thing with great love. It's not going around doing something magical, something that you can't imagine and doing it, but do the small things with great love. That's what affects you and me. Like when you call somebody and you are there 5 minutes before, it means something. It means a lot to me when some of you are here almost an hour before. I tell you, that means a lot to us, all of us. Because we are sadhus and we can feel it. So here I'm asking you, don't need to do great things, do the small things. Do the small things. I'll give you a classic example. Sometimes the small things mean a lot to people. Pramukh Swami, yes, he has created 1200 temples and the likes of Akshardham and so many things. But that's not the real reason why people love him. That's not the reason why I remember him. One man just recently came up to me and he said, Swami, I'll never forget Bapa. I said, why? I was just about to tap him on the shoulder and the head and suddenly he said, nah, Swami, I've got a wig. Listen, he had a wig. And there was nothing wrong with that wig. It looked so normal. And then he told me that about 20 years back, I had told Pramukh Swami that I'm going to wear a wig. Okay? Since that day, for 20 years, whenever I have come into the line, ઘણી વાર તો છે ને સ્વામીના દર્શન કરવા, there would be 500 people, 1,000, 10,000 on a big festival, there would be 70,000 people would queue up. Just Swami would put his hand on his head. He said, every time I came, he always put his hand on my shoulder and never on my head. He never wanted to embarrass me. અને આપણે તો કેવી છે wig? સેટ થઈ ગઈ છે, લાગે નહીં, પણ તો શેની માટે લગાડો છો યાર? If you love somebody, let that love be secret. Don't plaster it all over and keep telling them, I love you, I love you. It has to be felt, not heard or seen. He said, never ever, I must have come down to Pramukh Swami hundreds of times. Whenever he saw me, he would tap me on the shoulder. He knew I had a wig. He never wanted to embarrass me. Imagine, there is this lady, she wrote a letter. She told her incident that once in her small village, Pramukh Swami had come and they were going from village to village, house to house, Padramnis. Now listen to this. She wasn't a Swaminarayan. And she disliked Swaminarayan, especially sadhus, because of our niyam, because the sadhus stay away from the women. It's not that if a lady has any issue, any question, she can write and the sadhus will personally oversee that her issues are solved. But we just don't directly communicate, you have to understand, because we observe brahmacharya. So she was in her home. In some villages, you go from a street to street and you don't want to cross a street. Sometimes you can go from somebody's house. આપણા તો બધા જેટલા ઘરના બારણા એટલા દરવાજા. So you can go from somebody's house. Swami was going and he had to go into another street. This lady, she was not a Swaminarayan. She actually hated Swaminarayan. And somebody just said, oh, okay, her door was open and everybody said, oh, and her husband came and said, oh, you move out from the kitchen, because kitchen was the place that the Swami Shu could pass through. And she was actually huddled into some corner of some room. From there she could see a little what was happening. So upset. And she was cooking. And when Pramukh Swami came through her house and when he was just stepping across the kitchen, he noticed from the corner of his eyes કે રોટલો હતો ને એ અડધો શેકાતો હતો. Pramukh Swami went there and he thought કે આ રોટલો બળી જશે, એટલે he turned it around and then he walked off. The lady said that my attitude changed because he knew how to express his love. આપણે તો થોડો રોટલો બળી જાય તો કમ્પ્લેન કરીએ, આવું તો ક્યારેય નથી ખાધું, ભાઈ રોજ ખાવા મળશે હવે. I am trying to tell you, love is remembered and seen in the little things you do for the people you love. It's not in the great things. And when we think about the little things, There cannot be a greater incident that I can recount. You know, on the day that Akshardham was attacked, 24th September, all the police made their best effort and they could not actually catch the terrorists. I was there whole night, we were struggling, and there was whether there were 2 terrorists, 4, 6, nobody knew. And we were working, suddenly the NSG people came, there were 100 Black Cat commandos. Ajay Bhai was there whole night, so was I. One of our sadhus also died. So many of our volunteers died. Innocent people died. It was horror, and I've never seen so much blood, gunfire. And at about 7 o'clock, you know, when Brigadier Sitapati was in charge of Operation Thunderbolt. So when he was in charge at about 7:02 in the morning, when the terrorists were killed, okay, he asked, I was the first person he took to identify the terrorists, and then he asked, I still told him then that there may be 1 or 2 more, not just 2. So as we were trying to go through the different holes of Akshardham and so many people dead and everything, you know, after about 15 minutes, some volunteers started coming with hot puri and suki bhaji in dishes. I was so shocked. In the middle of Akshardham, in the campus, volunteers coming in with hot batakanu shak and puri. And all the NSG black commandos, they were shocked. And they all said, this is specially prepared by Pramukh Swami for all the soldiers who are here because they worked all night. The NSG people said, this is not in our protocol. We have gone and saved whole armies and things, and nobody has ever thought about our drink and food whole night. Somewhere Pramukh Swami asked some people, then make hot food because they have stayed awake and worked hard. And if you see those pictures, all the NSG people putting their guns aside, taking their shoes off, and eating some food that Pramukh Swami has specially made prepared. If your house is attacked, if your family is wounded, who would have that extra love of preparing something? We would beg. Love does not turn you into a beggar. Love turns you into a giver. And the miracle that happened, the hardest of hearts, Brigadier Sitapati, who was in charge of Operation Thunderbolt, he was so affected that with one gesture, he said, we've freed hotels, we've freed institutions, we've gone out in war. Nobody has had the thought for us in this way. So after retirement, he decided to join Akshardham, and he is our chief security officer all over. You don't need a lecture. You need one gesture of genuine love. And if you have that gesture of genuine love, then nothing is a burden in life. I'll leave you with something which I just read recently. You might think that I've been dealt a wrong card. You know, in your own family, you have one person who doesn't obey you. You might feel that I have not been given the right opportunities. You might feel, despite the fact I love selflessly, I have worked so hard. You know, to all the mothers who are also present here, they say, the mother keeps worrying. The mother keeps working hard. And the mother keeps expressing her selfless love for the whole family. And why nobody really appreciates her. But life does. Recent research says, because of the genuine love that mother keeps expressing through her work, service, and worry, that's why mothers always live longer than the whole family. They're supposed to be stressed but no, it's the love that creates the magic within you. So give love. Why? Even if you think there's a burden, even if you think your father has left you with a debt, even if you think you have to stand up for the wrongs that your son is doing, even if you think your father is not the right father, why give love? And I don't think there can be a more classic example, again, a real life miracle that the magic that love can do is the story of a father and son, Rick and Dick. It's a true story. It's not from the scriptures. It's not from history. It's something that has happened in the present and exists now. One man, a simple man, he was stout and fat. They had their first son. And the son so happened, because there was an umbilical cord that was wound round around the baby's neck, that he was born with cerebral palsy. Means he could not move his hands or feet, forever confined to a wheelchair. There's nothing they could do. 1 year hence, they went to the doctors. And they went to the doctors to ask the doctors that, what can we do with this little boy? The doctors examined the little boy and said, there's no life in him as such. Best, you deposit him into a special home and then forget that you had a boy. But every time they looked into the boy's eyes, the little boy, his eyes kept following him and her husband. All of them felt that this boy is responding through the eyes. So as the boy grew, bound to a wheelchair, not even being able to smile properly, at the age of 11, they were a little frustrated now. See, when you feel you have been dealt with the wrong card, okay? So they felt that, okay, let's go to the doctors again. They went to Tufts University, where all the experts and all computer experts were there, which were like experts in trying to bring out a voice. So when they went in, and all the experts checked the little boy, Dick, and they said, there's no brain inside him. He said, you look at him, but there's no brain inside him. Still, the father insisted. He said, please, try and give him some ability to communicate, because I feel there's something alive. So, after hours, the university and the computer experts wired that little boy. And the first words the boy typed, I've got brains. He didn't spell the word right, brains, B-R-A-N-S. But the first word he wrote, I've got brains. He was hearing everything. He could not communicate. Everything changed. They put him into a school for the specially able children. And once, now listen to this, the boy communicated through computer language to his father, said, there's a boy in our class, he's paralyzed, and in his name and for his fund, they are going to have a race. I want to run in that race. How can a wheelchair-bound kid run in a race? So his father, who had never run more than a mile, he writes, I had never run more than a mile. To see a smile on his child's face, nothing more. He decided to participate in that race while everybody was running on 2 feet. It was his 2 feet and the wheelchair. He became a sensation that there's a father who is running with the wheelchair in a race. Okay? Then it went on and on and on, and I want to tell you, till today, this image of a father running with the wheelchair of his son, they have run in 1,130 endurance events. 72 marathons, wait for it. More than 10 or 7 triathlons, where the father has run with the wheelchair 26 miles, swam with the boy on his back for 2 miles, and biked in 1 day 112 miles with the boy sitting in the hamper, till the boy became 43 and he became 65. To your surprise and my surprise, he participated in 72 Boston marathons, where 20,000 people participate, and he came 5,000th number with a wheelchair, running with the wheelchair. People are just running freely. And he was just 35 minutes away from a world record. When somebody came up to him and said, hey, Rick, if you can do such great wonders with pushing your son's wheelchair, why don't you participate on your own? You win. A man who could not run 1 mile has run so many marathons. And you know what he said? I'm not running to win. I'm running to win a smile from my son. And just recently he discovered that he had a heart attack. 95% of his arteries were blocked. The doctors told him that had you not been running in these marathons, you would have been dead 15 years ago. So Rick writes, all the while I was thinking that I was giving life to my son, but actually he was giving life to me. Thank you very much. If you give love and if you give honestly, then that love will come back to you. Thank you.
Just be seated for a minute. Just 1 minute. And friends, I told you earlier, when Swamiji speaks, time stands still. You must also have experienced that every time he visits AMA at the AMA week, he weaves magic, and today was no exception. We are so deeply touched from what I very humbly handed first, love yourself, to stretching across in tune with the infinite. Swamiji, on behalf of all of us, we are indebted. Friends, AMA feels proud that Swamiji's talks, lectures, over all these years, they have gone far and wide across the globe. And if there is any existence in any part of the solar system, I am sure the waves would have gone there as well. Friends, a thunderous applause. Tomorrow, we will meet again, 6 p.m., and it would be another wonderful evening when you will discover the treasures of happiness with Sister Brahma Kumari Shivani ji. Welcome, Shubharatri.